The matrix view offers an alternative method of working with audio and MIDI. Instead of the linear, start to finish, set sequence view used in the track view and other views in SONAR, the matrix can be used to trigger audio and MIDI clips in any order. This triggering process can be recorded to the track view as a performance and then edited and played back just like any other SONAR project. Open the view by pressing Alt+5 or selecting it from the View menu. The main view consists of cells organized in rows and columns. Cells can be loaded with either MIDI or audio clips. Simply drag clips from the browser or right-click on a cell, select Import File from the menu, and navigate to the required clip. A populated cell can output to any audio or MIDI track in the project, depending on what type of clip is in the cell. If a track of that type already exists, the row is assigned to the first one of that type. If there is no existing track, one is created. A row can be reassigned to a different track. Choose the required track from the row's drop-down selector. They can be muted and soloed using the relevant buttons. Once a row type has been established, only clips of that type can be inserted. Audio clips can't be used on a MIDI track and vice versa. Before dragging a clip from the track view, make sure it has trimming applied if it has been slip edited. Change it to a groove clip for better results. In X2, a MIDI row processes data via the assigned MIDI track by default. This means the row will follow track settings such as output, patch and channel assigns, and any effects on the track. This makes it possible to use hardware synths. If a soft synth is assigned to the track, it is possible to click on the D button and bypass the track, sending data directly to the synth. Contents of a cell can be copied by holding the Control key down, while click-dragging the contents to another cell. Cells can be renamed by choosing that option from the right-click menu. Left-click on a cell to trigger it, left-click again to stop it. A cell can also be assigned to a controller. Select MIDI Learn from the right-click menu. Once MIDI Learn is active, press a control on a controller to assign the control to the cell. Once triggered, it will flash to show it is queued until the playback begins. The circle around the outside of the play icon indicates how far through playback the pattern is, and the cell will follow the global settings set in the toolbar unless overridden by the cell's individual settings. Only one cell in a row can be played at a time, but multiple cells in different rows can be played back together. A whole column can be played back by clicking on the column header. Re-clicking will stop the column playback. Columns can be named. Right-click on the cell header and select the Rename Column option. Columns can also be inserted, duplicated using the relevant menu choice. Columns can also be triggered by a controller, and they are assigned using the MIDI Learn option. To stop all cell playback, click on the Stop All Cells icon in the toolbar. The toolbar contains icons for controlling global playback. The trigger resolution sets how long the delay is from when the cell or column is triggered before playback actually begins. The default is measure, so playback will start on the next measure boundary, but this can be changed to a different musical resolution, or immediate. The global loop mode is on when this icon is lit, and this is the default. A cell will continue to play until stopped. If turned off, a cell or column will play back once and then stop. Latch Mode controls how a cell or column responds to a trigger. The default is on, and in this mode, triggered cells or columns will continue to play once the trigger is released. If Latch Mode is off as soon as the trigger is released, playback will stop. Re-trigger mode controls how a playing cell or column responds when triggered again while still playing. As we've already seen, if this is off, playback stops. If it is on, a cell will start playback from the beginning again. The default is off. The Cell Start toggle controls whether a cell synchronizes to the project by starting in the middle of a pattern or starts playback from the beginning. When lit, it is in Always from Beginning mode, and the cell will always play back from the beginning. When unlit, it is in the Offset to Now Time mode, and playback syncs to the project with the cell playback starting at the appropriate point in its cycle. Once the global options are set, individual cells can override any of the options and use their own setting. A cell's trigger resolution is set from the right-click menu, as well as the same musical interval options as the global trigger resolution choices. There is also the Follow Global option. Once a resolution has been chosen, it is displayed in the cell. At the bottom right of each cell are two icons. The one on the left is used to override the global loop options and has 3 states. Highlighted blue is the default and follows the current global setting indicated by the graphic on the button. In this case, loop mode. Click on it to remove the highlight. When in this state, it indicates the cell is following its own setting as indicated by the graphic, either one shot or loop. To return it to the follow global setting, Control-click on the icon. The icon in the bottom right corner indicates the cell's latch mode. Highlighted blue is also the default setting for this, indicating it is following the global setting, currently latch mode on. Click on it to remove the highlight. The cell is now following its own setting, as indicated by the graphic, either latch on or latch off. Control-click on it to return it to the follow global setting. Returning back to the toolbar, we find a pair of icons at the far right, one for setting the MIDI channel that the matrix responds to, and turning MIDI response on or off. The other opens the options dialog to set various options. To the left of the resolution dropdown is the follow transport control. When this option is lit, the matrix will not play back unless SONAR's transport is running. This option is helpful to synchronize cell playback with SONAR while recording a performance. To record the matrix, click on the Record Performance option. When this is lit, output from the matrix is recorded in real time in the Clips pane. Once there, it can be edited or played back as required. Try using the matrix for inspiration or checking out a different song order on the fly.